What is up, everybody? Monday night, which means cover two is in the building. You got myself, Jesse with Last Second Sports. You've got the coach from the Coaches Huddle. Coach, my man, how you doing tonight?
I'm feeling good, man. OTAs are over. Minicamp is coming up. The team is shaping out. I'm excited, man. One more week, one more phase down, and we're closer to camp, which means that we're closer to real football. So I'm ready to go. We're back.
Yeah, we are. Well, kind of. It's it's tough because we get the real football, but then we have about I don't know, what are we talking about? 40, 50-day hiatus or whatever until
Right, we got the dead period.
It starts again. Yeah, it's like, oh man, here we go. So I'm happy for this week. I'm happy for the last week. But ultimately, we know the dead period, the true dead period, where we know there's no more draft, there's no free agency, nothing. There's nothing on the horizon until the end of July. But alas, here we are. However, there was some news that kind of broke today across the NFL. Jaire Alexander. I know I made a video back in March about Jaire Alexander because there was talks that he was going to get cut way back then. Then he didn't get cut. He didn't get traded. June 1st came and went, didn't get cut. And then today they made the announcement that he's being cut, but they made sure to do it in the morning because technically nothing is filed through the league office until 4 p.m. Eastern. So I was still waiting. Okay, is a team going to swoop in and try to trade for him? It does sound like he's been cut. He's going to be a free agent. So we're not going to just talk about Jaire Alexander, but we're going to start with him because he is the big name, the most recent name to have been released. Do you believe that the 49ers should go after Jaire Alexander? Why or why not?
No. And the reason why I don't think so, the reason why I don't think they should go after him is because we got to understand what we have with the young guys in tow, right? Darrell Luter Jr., Bernardo Green, now with the emergence of Diamador Lenore. I know it would be good to have someone that will be, in theory, a pace horse for Diamador Lenore. Jaire Alexander only knows one way how to play, and that's as a number one corner in the NFL. So having him play, in a way, what are we paying Demo for? If we're bringing in Jaire Alexander for Demo, so what are we going to say? Jaire Alexander or Demo? Who's more apt to be a number two corner coming onto our team? Would it be Jaire Alexander, who's played at number one the majority of his entire career? Or would it be Diamador Lenore, who's played the majority of his career at number one? And as soon as the bullets get to flying and he has some hiccups along the way, then we switch to another imperfect vessel who just got cut from a team. This is another one of those litmus tests that we're going to get week in and week out. And it's starting before the season has even happened, which is, how bad do we want to hold on to that $43 million in salary cap space? How much are we willing to toe the line, ride out with who we got, understand who deserves to be on the roster and who doesn't, and know that whatever we're bringing in right now would just basically be another player to add on to possibly making it to the playoffs? What does Jaire Alexander actually do for the Niners right now in June? We would say that he shores up a young group of corners. That's about it. You can't really trust him into the season, being as though that he just got let go from another position, from another team. And then what even really happens is that not only does it stifle the growth of Diamador Lenore as a starter, but it kind of stunts the growth of the entire room. I liked what Sherm did for us when he was here, but I'm also under the belief that having him here stunted us from going to find young corners who could take over right now. And having a Jaire Alexander, in a way, are you gonna do the responsible thing in 1 to 2 years and say, all right, Jaire, get out of here. It's time for us to go grow another corner. Or are you gonna do what we've been doing with most of the vets that we've had, where we have another Jake Brindle situation on our hands, or we have another one of these veterans that he works out for the process of the team, but we kind of give him the excuse not to get better there. So, no.
I think they should sign Jaire Alexander. I don't think that bringing him in causes any friction between him and Diamador Lenore. Diamador Lenore is the number one corner. He's the younger guy. He's established on this team. He got paid last season. So for me, I think Deommodore Lenoir is the clear number one guy. Now, I will say, I think bringing in Jaire Alexander could stunt the growth a little bit of Renardo Green or Luter and some of those other guys.
Who's not looking
but the
good.
way that well, it's early, right? And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not too worried about Renardo Green just yet. But what I will say is that, Jaire Alexander definitely shores things up. I don't know. I don't know what they've got between Upton Stout and Darrell Luter Jr. And even behind that, there's not much of anything. So Darrell Luter Jr. is going into year 3. If he pops off and is a good player and the 49ers missed it because they want to bring in Jaire Alexander, who for my money was the number one corner in the NFL 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever he got paid. I know he's 28 now, but that's not over the hill by any means. And I feel like it's so low risk, high reward that you're going to pay him. It's going to be a 1-year deal. And if it works out, maybe you can sign him to another 1-year deal. And if it doesn't, no big deal. I feel like the Huff signing kind of changes my thoughts of what the 49ers think they are. I said that I feel like they feel that they are in the Super Bowl window still. Huff confirms that for me. So it's like, why not go get as many good players as you can? It's not like the salary cap is hurting you. We're going to stunt the growth of Darrell Luter Jr., who's going into year 3. I don't really care about any of that. Get the best player on the field. And as long as it's not going to hinder the future, which is the most important thing to me, 1-year deal, I have zero issue with it. And then the other part of this is, if you truly are trying to win the division, what if the Rams sign him? What if the Cardinals sign him? That's not good either. So not only do you not sign him, but then he ends up in division, which I think is very possible. I don't know, man. I would like to get Jaire Alexander if the price is right. I'm not saying sign him to a 3-year deal, open up the pocketbooks, mortgage the future. But if it means that Darrell Luter Jr. is not going to get snaps, I'm not too worried about that.
All right, I have a little bit of a recant. So one, I understand your methodology behind Bryce Huff coming on and you thinking that signifies that, hey, man, maybe they think that they got a little bit more juice with this roster, that they're closer than they think they are. I don't see it that way. I like the Bryce Huff signing exactly for the opposite. I feel like they got Bryce Huff because they know that they need to protect a young guy like Michael Williams, who is not going to be able to give us pro-level elite pass rushing on a consistent basis, on top of us needing him to be able to fill out the whole year. I looked at Bryce Huff coming in because there was a legit hole at edge, not because they were a man away, right? It's not like Bryce Huff got us over the hump. Bryce Huff made us like serviceable at edge, where we actually have a real one opposite Nick Bosa instead of a rookie, another guy out of Sam Akuanu, or Yatura Gross-Matos, who, like, I don't even know if he's even made it to Santa Clara yet since we signed him. So as far as production is concerned. So I don't see Bryce Huff as a final piece to a defense or a defensive line edge group that really needs to be able to make it all the way into February. I saw Bryce Huff as, hey, we need this or the wheels could fall off. And I feel this, and I don't feel that way about the corners. When I look at the corners that we have coming in, Niners have about 10 corners right now. That's enough to find you a good secondary going into the season. Bringing in a Jaire Alexander in this group right now, I mean, yeah, he's better than everybody, but is he that much better than Deommodore Lenoir? Like, I don't know. He just got let go from his team. We get drafted.
I don't know that he's better than Lenoir at this point. He's certainly better than Darrell Luter Jr.
Yeah, but Darrell Luter Jr. didn't even play last year. I mean, what's that saying? That's like winning the world's shortest midget contest. Like, okay, he's better than Darrell Luter Jr.
Right, but Darrell Luter Jr. is in competition to be the number 3 corner on this team. Like,
so you think that we would get Jaire Alexander? You think we would get Jaire Alexander to compete for number 3?
No, he would start, and then Renardo Green comes in on nickel. You probably run nickel 65% of the time.
Right.
So you're going to have Green, Alexander, and Lenore on the field together. And Lenore's versatility allows him to kick back inside when that happens.
I mean, for me, I don't want to push back too far because I have another guy up my sleeve, and I don't think I'm hopping forward. Are we still staying on the topic with other guys?
No,
as far as secondary?
Let's move on. Yeah, let's move
on.
Yeah,
We can stay here. I don't want to hop ahead of you, but for me, the reason why I don't like it is because they got enough bodies there to fill out a secondary. Jaire Alexander doesn't necessarily tip that secondary so far left or right that we're so much better with him or we're so much worse without him. So I will err on the side of not getting him at all. For me, somebody that you could actually get not actually get because we don't know. We would have to trade for him. But I would like Jalen. I would like Ramsey. I would like him at safety. And I think that you get a guy north of 30. He doesn't necessarily have the speed that he does, but he knows the angles. Got tons of leadership. It would be the erring on the side of just having another another Sherm on our team. And the hole is there. Like, we actually need a free safety, right? And we need somebody that actually knows how to direct the traffic back there, being a center fielder. So that's more of a move that I would go for, where we would actually get him on the field because there's nobody there that would actually keep him from getting on the field, versus the Jaire Alexander, where we got all of these young guys that we drafted, where, dare I say it, we're going to have to actually play our way through figuring out who deserves to be on this team. We can't do it like we did Trey Lance, where we were so good that it's like, oh, well, you're not good enough. You're never going to see the light of day. Like, nah, these guys got to play. Just like they did last year. We would have never known what we had out of Malik Mustafa or Renardo Green if they were just sitting there fighting their way on the field. So in a way, by virtue, us being as bad as we were actually helped us in certain ways because at least we got time on task with these guys.
Yeah, but the thing with Jalen Ramsey is, where has he said that he's just willing to move to safety full time? I mean, that was an idea that was thrown out by Asante Samuel on Twitter, and he has said that later in his career he's willing to do that, but he wasn't that last year. Doesn't mean he's going to be willing to do that right now in his career. Certainly, if he's willing to do that, I would love to have Jalen Ramsey. It does to me sound like Jalen Ramsey's either going to be a Ram or a Cowboy. The other problem with Jalen Ramsey is you have to give up an asset, and you're taking him on with his current deal in place. So whatever outs are in place, whatever guaranteed money's in place, you're dealing with those things, and you're going to have to give up, even if it's a 5th round pick. Jaire Alexander, at least you're not giving anything up. You're just working out a deal that fits you best, and there's no asset to give up. And so, again, I'm with you. If Jalen Ramsey wants to play safety and he's willing to do that at this point in his career, I am all for it. But if he's not, and he still wants to play corner for another year or two, it's like, I'd rather have Jaire Alexander.
Well, he definitely wants a new deal, but this year on the cap, he's only 1.2 against he's 16.6 million on the cap this year. He makes a guaranteed salary of 24.2 this year.
Yeah.
So he would definitely have to, he's done, all of his guaranteed money is over. So he's definitely looking for a new deal, right? I'd sign Jalen Ramsey at a 2-year deal at safety.
Yeah, if he's willing to do it, I'm listen, trust me. I'd be
right,
all
sounds
for
good.
It.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so two more names. Jermaine Pratt, linebacker from the Bengals, got released today as well. Any interest in going after him?
No. One of the things about Jermaine Pratt is that earlier in his career, I mean, he was a guy where he would not be in this position if he was the player he was 2-3 years ago. North of 130 tackles, like north of 18 tackles for loss last year. 2 years ago. This guy, he was definitely somebody who, would fly to the ball. But the biggest thing about him is that I've seen as of late is the reason why he's getting let go is because he wants a new deal. It's more of the Jalen Ramsey situation. He wants a new deal, and his body has failed him before his money has come in. So now the biggest thing with him is he takes poor angles, and he does the worst thing that you can't do at linebacker. He misses tackles. He's not a good tackler. So I would pass on the Jermaine Pratt situation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. I like some of the young linebackers that they have. I think D Winters could be pretty good. I don't know what Robert Saleh thinks of him, but obviously you drafted another linebacker in Martin, and you've got some other guys in there as well. Tatum Bethune, you drafted last year. You got a couple other guys. So I think I'm good at the linebacker position as well. I want to see what they've got going on. And then the
Mhm.
last name is Terry McLaurin. It sounds like he's pretty unhappy with his deal right now. Is trying to get the final payday, or at least big payday of his career. He's looking for pretty much the Brendan Aiyuk deal, but he's going to be 30 years old. Less of a question about, because if you trade for him, you're
Mhm.
most likely not keeping him and Aiyuk. So just a hypothetical. If Washington said, "Hey, we'll give you McLaurin, but we want Aiyuk," would you make that deal?
Yeah, I would. I mean, for
Okay.
me, one thing I like about Scary Terry is that he's the consummate professional. Now, I've been over here with him since they drafted him. He got drafted the same year as Debo.
Yep.
And this dude is like sub 4.3 speed. He's a 4.3 guy. You know what I'm saying? So sub 4.4 rather. Um, Character guy. I mean, can you imagine a team wanting their receiver to have more swag? Can you imagine that? Like the problem with your leader at receiver is because he's not as confident as you need him to be. He's a total workman. I think one of the reasons why he's so um I don't know, opposed. I don't want to use the wrong words, but I think the reason why there's difficulty getting this deal done over there is because he's been the consummate professional in a lot of dumpster fire years over there. And he's kind of looking at them like, you guys gotta, you gotta pay like you weigh. So, and if we paid Terry McLaurin the deal that BA got, I would not be upset with that. Because even the people that would say, oh, 30-year-old receiver making $30 million a year, if you had a receiver that was going to like literally play every cent off of his contract, it would be Terry McLaurin. He's one of those type guys. Like, as far as character is concerned, the way we talk about Christian McCaffrey, or the way the coaches talk about Christian McCaffrey, the way the team wants us to believe what Christian McCaffrey is as a consummate pro who literally always goes hard no matter what, that's what Terry McLaurin is. I'm under the belief that BA isn't enough to get Terry McLaurin. I think he's that good. And yeah, he will come to another offense where he doesn't have like a crazy dynamic quarterback. He only got to play with JD5 for 1 year, but man, Terry McLaurin is one of those guys where you can drop him in any offense and he'll find production. Like, he's a guy, like, who he reminds me of on the low, as far as like a guy who just was super physical, even to the day he retired. Like, I don't even know when he fell off. Pierre Garcon. Just a do it all guy. Like, I'm going to block, I'm going to run, I'm going to be physical. I'm big enough to take the slant. I'm catching over the middle. I'm fast enough to go yard, and I can stick my foot in the ground and in an instance be gone, beat the angle. So I think that BA isn't enough for a guy like Terry McLaurin.
He's been extremely consistent his whole career. The only year he didn't have 1,000 yards was his rookie year, and he had like 918 yards. So,
Dude, he's like
I
the
mean,
Curtis Martin of receivers.
he's gonna give you 1,000 yards for sure. Like, that's almost a lock. And I agree that Terry McLaurin is the consummate pro. I forget, it wasn't Hard Knocks, but it was like some behind the scenes thing last year, the year before, and he was just so humble, such a leader. It was fine. Like, he knew the team sucked. This was 2 years ago, actually. He knew the
Mm-hmm.
team sucked, and he was still like first guy in, last guy out, teaching guys. He was the guy that you want in the building. So I would say from that standpoint, Ayuk obviously has his IG stuff going on. Not a
What
big
do you
fan of
think about
that.
all this? Like, because, all right, so I'm sorry to cut in on, I know we trade off in doing the shows,
Mhm.
but I want to know your opinion. What do you truly think BA's angle is? We already know that the stuff that he's putting on Twitter is jarring. So we get all of that. But what do you think he's truly upset with? Or is he upset at all?
I don't know, man. I honestly
Okay.
don't
All
know.
right.
I wish I knew. The only, the TO thing was like, whatever. I didn't really like look at that as like some big people made that out to be something huge. For me, it was when Julio Jones was talking about what happened in the Super Bowl. And then he tweeted, or not tweeted, but put on his IG story a picture of Julio. I was like, you're kind of taking a shot at either Shanahan or the fact that you didn't get enough touches in the Super Bowl. And what's interesting about the BA thing is people talk about it as 2 off seasons. This is actually off season 3. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but 2 off seasons ago, so not last off season, but the off season before, there was a picture floating around. It was the picture of him after he'd gotten tackled. I think it was against the Packers.
The Giants uniform.
And yeah, exactly. And the Giants uniform with the helmet hanging from his mouth, and he liked it. Remember that? It was a big deal.
I remember that.
So
I remember that.
When you add that in with last offseason and this offseason, it's like, man, he's obviously got something to say. He's got some sort of gripe. I just don't know who it's with. The reason I would say no to trading Aiyuk for McLaurin is it's gonna be some dead money when you get rid of Aiyuk. McLaurin's 30 years old. And I feel like if it just doesn't work with Aiyuk, I'd rather just move off the contract and not have a wide receiver making $30 million on this team. I don't feel like that's the future success of this team is paying wide receivers, number 1 wide receiver money. They just don't throw the ball enough. It's not their style stylistically. I'd rather have 3 good number 2s that you're not paying a bunch of money and work it out through running back, tight end, what have you, and protect Brock Purdy. I think that would be a better way to go. So I would either say keep Brandon Aiyuk, see how it works out, and if it doesn't work out well, then you're moving on anyways. You're getting rid of the contract. I don't want to bring another $30 million receiver contract onto this team.
I disagree.
Okay.
And the reason why I disagree is because we can't get away with the process. We've been trying to do it a lot with this Moneyball bullshit, thinking that we can not play different positions and overload on certain things and thinking we can, kind of reinvent the wheel. The facts are is that you got to pay a number 1 receiver in football because you can't win a Super Bowl without a number 1 receiver. You got to have a number 1 receiver. Who won a Super Bowl without a number 1?
I mean, the Chiefs just did 2 years ago. They beat the 49ers.
Jesse. Stop.
What?
Jesse, you got to have a number 1 receiver, bro.
You don't have to have a number 1 receiver.
Bro, yes,
you're talking about, hold on. Let's clarify. Number 1 receiver. What do you mean, like a number 1 receiver to league standards or just a hierarchy of receivers?
Like you need an X. That's why it's called an X.
Yeah, you can have an X, but that doesn't mean he has to be like a dog, is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean he has to be a $30 million a year season type of guy.
If you got Brock Purdy at quarterback, yes, you do.
Why?
Where else is the money going to go?
Offensive line, hopefully.
We already made it to the Super Bowl with the O-line.
Yeah, but we didn't win
Jesse,
a Super Bowl.
Hold on. Let me put it like this, bro. What I'm basically trying to get to is that it's not the fact that we paid a receiver $30 million. It's the fact that we paid Brandon Aiyuk $30 million. In this offense, for what he got paid, he can play his way. He can do enough to earn $30 million as the number 1 receiver on this team. The problem is that we know that he does not possess the skills to even come close to living up to that money on his best day. So Brandon's biggest issue is he tries to make it a scene as if he's being held back. I didn't really get the opportunities to be the guy that I'm supposed to be. He's acting like as if he's being shackled. His greatness is being stifled by Kyle Shanahan. The only problem is that you got your money, bruh. You got paid. And the fact that you can't let this go just lets us know that you got imposter syndrome. You know you're not a number one. The Niners got their arm twisted into paying for a guy that they know is not a number one. It's not the fact that we paid him $30 million. There's a lot of receivers around the league that we would not have a problem with paying that type of money. The issue is that we know Brandon Aiyuk is not worth that. So it's not, oh, you can't pay a receiver $30 million. Yes, you can, if he's worth it. He ain't worth it.
I think Brandon Aiyuk was worth it prior to the injury. We'll see how he comes out of it. I mean,
No,
Brandon Aiyuk was.
It wouldn't have took this long to get him paid, man.
He was a top 10 receiver.
Bro, he'd have probably been worth it as the market got higher. But you mean to tell me the bargain that he pushed, all of it, all the way down to the 11th hour of Kyle Shanahan running up to the steps to stop the trade, and we finally got BA. You mean to tell me once we got Brandon Aiyuk, we got our $30 million a year receiver? Come on, Jess. I know he's hurt right now. We're trying to be diplomatic, but come on, bro.
We were arguing where he fit into the top 10 prior to him getting paid. Like, he was a top 10 receiver. If not him, who was worth it? Who was worth it? I mean, there's how many guys are worth it?
Well, that's
Only
a different discussion. All right, okay. So if the discussion is who else was there to pay, yeah, there was nobody. There was not another receiver to pay. Debo got paid. Brandon wanted his money. Yeah, you got me there. Yeah, BA was the only receiver to walk in to have.
How many receivers in the league? Don't be obtuse. Don't be obtuse.
I'm not being obtuse.
How many receivers in the NFL are worth paying that kind of money is my question.
10. I would say top 10, Bunny. 30.
He was top 10. He was just top 10 when he got paid. What do you mean? Yes, he was.
All right, bro.
If he wasn't, he was like 11.
So all right, so let me get this straight. I'm being obtuse, but there was nobody who thought that Brandon Aiyuk that deal wasn't overpaid.
I'm not saying that. You can have that opinion. My question is, if not Brandon Aiyuk, who is worth it? Because the point is that in this offense, who do you think is the best receiver in the NFL right now?
Chase.
Okay. If
Chase or Jetta, 1A, 1B.
Okay. Whoever. Chase or Jetta. If they were in this offense right now, do you think that Kyle Shanahan would force feed him until his eyes fell out? Because I don't.
Who?
Either of those receivers, if they were on the 49ers.
I think he would.
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is the same guy that gave Julio Jones 3 targets in the Super Bowl. That's what he was just complaining about.
But I feel like
Julio Jones.
I feel like you switched from my argument. At first it was you can't pay a receiver $30 million, and then I say, well, it's not the fact that a receiver gets paid $30 million, it's the fact that it was Brandon Aiyuk. But later on in the discussion, you hit me with who else was going to get paid but Brandon Aiyuk.
No, I'm saying if you're going to pay. My point is if Brandon Aiyuk can't get back to his original form, which to me, that original form was worth that compensation. If he can't get there and you end up moving on from a receiver, this offense shouldn't dictate $30 million for another receiver unless you end up drafting a guy and he becomes that dude. I wouldn't trade for another receiver who's basically, I don't know, a max 1,100 yard a year guy. Like Terry McLaurin's cool and he's consistent, but he's not. I don't know that he's a top 10 receiver right now.
Do you think Terry McLaurin's better than BA?
At this point, yeah, BA's injured, man. I don't know, but when BA at his best is better than Terry McLaurin at his best, or was better than Terry McLaurin at his best, in my opinion.
Say that again.
BA at his best, the year where he peaked before getting paid, is better than Terry McLaurin at his best.
So BA had a better year than Terry McLaurin.
I think just player for player, peak Aiyuk is more gifted than peak Terry McLaurin. He's not more consistent, but I think he's certainly a better
I'll
player,
take the consistency over the peak, especially after BA's being hurt. for BA
Well,
being hurt.
yes, if the option is McLaurin and BA never gets back, I guess my point is that it's either BA or just don't pay a receiver 30 million. That's all I'm trying to say. But if we're going to
But I
make the
just feel
argument
like
that
that's
BA
a
is
little bit
not
of a
worth
cop.
it,
I
if
think that's
BA
a
is
little
not
bit of
worth
a
it,
cop out. I think that's a little bit of a cop out because you're going to have to pay somebody. Like I said, the issue isn't we paid a receiver $30 million. For me, the issue is of who we paid $30 million. That's all I'm saying.
you don't have to pay a receiver $30 million.
I think Terry McLaurin
receivers
is better than BA. I think he's more consistent than BA. He's shown more. I mean, I just think he's more of a solid player and a better attitude. Just a better overall player.
I don't disagree with more consistent. That's for sure. I mean, that's inarguable. That's like not even debatable. I just think peak BA peaked higher than peak McLaurin. And we'll see what happens with BA. But you don't have to pay a receiver 30 million is my point. If BA walks out the door, they trade him tomorrow. There's no rule in the rule book that says you have to pay a receiver $30 million. I'm fine not doing that in the future. Unless you've got a dog, a Justin Jefferson or whatever. And even if he was here, again, it's not like he's going to get force fed the ball with Kyle Shanahan.
I understand, man. I just, BA gave us a good year. He was on an uptrend, but, I just think over the years, what he's shown us, especially like character wise, and what he did to get his money, he's got some big shoes to fill. And I'm not really giving him any type of credit off spec, like in the past. Like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off of an injury. It's about, it's going to be super, super tough. We'll see.
Think, who do you think you could drop into any offense and they would thrive? Terry McLaurin or BA?
Are you talking about healthy BA?
Yeah.
I think they both could. I think BA could play in any offense and thrive. A healthy BA, dude. What? He's a good route runner. He's got long arms. He's a willing blocker. Yeah, I think that works with any offense. I think they both do.
Yeah. I give it to Terry.
I think the answer can be both, though. I don't think
it can be both. Yeah. It's just my opinion. Okay.
Stevo says, if I can't have a home team, then you got to pick one. Dude, this is like so 1 month ago.
What's going on? If I can't have a whole team, go ahead. Oh, yeah. I win. You know why? I win at Stevo on my calling show. I told her, I was like, yo, I heard you a Packers fan.
Well, he's calling me out, which is funny, from your channel, which is even better. But Stevo, the difference is that, again, like everything's explainable for my part. You can't explain what you got going on. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Okay. I'm a Trailblazers fan, the local team in Portland, Trailblazer fan. I'm an Oregon Duck fan. They're in Eugene, a couple hours south of where I grew up. That makes sense. There is no professional football team in Portland, Oregon, the last time I checked. So at that point, you go with, oh, guess what? My dad was a 49er fan, so that's how I became a 49er fan. I wouldn't then move to Florida and root for a Florida team. That would be weird. That's what you did. That's my point. So you left when you were like 6 or 8. You left Green Bay, and then you continued to root for him and then picked up another team.
When did you become a Niners? So you became a Niners fan at 8 when you left Green Bay? Oh, if that's the case, then you might as well just let Green Bay go to all together. It was only 8 years.
Right. That's what I'm saying. At that point, you choose a team. It's okay at 8 years old to like switch your team or allegiance or whatever, but
nobody's going to beat you up there, slugger.
30 years later, be rooting for two teams simultaneously that are rivals, by the way.
Yeah, you weren't Steve-O back then. You were little Stevie. Little Stevie, the Packers fan.
Lee says the Commanders think they are a contender. BA out 10 games at least. No, listen, I think BA has a better chance of playing week 1 than it being 10 weeks. I'll put that out there right now. I know that for a fact. So I'm not saying he will play week 1, but he has a better chance of playing week 1 than being out 10 weeks. Now, if he has a setback, I'm just saying at this moment right now, that's the reality. He's not missing 10 games. Seymour Butts says, good to see you guys back on the grind. Keep up the great work, fellas. The season can't come soon enough.
I'm happy, man. Real football's coming, man.
Absolutely. Now that we're on both channels, this is a good time to ask the question or bring this up. So Coach and I went to training camp last year. I feel like we had fantastic coverage, bringing you inside play-by-play. Coach watches the trenches. I watch where the football goes. And I feel like we did the best job in bringing you to training camp with us through the play-by-play, what happened, who's doing well. However, the way that we got training camp tickets in the past was through David, who I do the post-game shows with. He's no longer a season ticket holder. So getting training camp tickets is extremely hard if you're not a season ticket holder. You got to rely on basically luck when it gets released to the public. So
it ain't checkers.
Exactly. So my ask is, any season ticket holder, if you are in the chat, either email one of us, hit us on Twitter through DM. All of that is in our channel description. You can get a hold of us. We will buy the tickets from you. That is not the problem. It's just getting our hands on tickets. Yeah, the money is not the issue. You can make a little
come up too. Holla at us.
Exactly. So people on both channels, if you are a season ticket holder and you can come off of 2 tickets for about 4 or 5 days in training camp, hit us up, please. That would be great. Who was more productive, BA or Terry? Terry. Terry's been more, consistent and productive. Yeah, that's not debatable. That, sir, is not debatable.
All I'm saying is that BA found a way to be a malcontent on a Super Bowl contending team. Terry McLaurin has been one of the Boy Scouts of the NFL while living in Vegas, damn near, like a horrible dumpster fire of an organization. You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't a quote unquote malcontent.
Who did
2 years ago when they were a Super Bowl contending team? He's the reason they ended up in the Super Bowl. If we're keeping it a full stack, so
bro, look, this is my thing. He was happy when he was getting fed the ball. I get that. What I'm talking about is all of the extra shit, the social media stuff, the meetings, the podcasts, the Instagram stories, like all of this stuff where I honestly think, you know what this is? And if this is true, I really think it's even more whack. I don't think that BA has a problem with his teammates. I think BA just has a problem with Kyle. You know what I'm saying? And at every chance, he tries to make it known, like, yo, I'm cool with the team, but I'm not rocking with you because you know what I've done for you to help you out in your passing game. So I don't get it.
Trav says, what's up, fellas? I think they should not let BA go where he wants. He chose this contract. Stick to your word and play ball, or restructure and take a cut. First of all, I don't think that he's requesting a trade or anything like that. He had his opportunity to leave. So I agree that much, but I'm also not the guy that's going to sit here and be like, yeah, man, you signed a contract, deal with it. Because if that was the case, then where was that energy when Trent Williams and CMC and those guys wanted more guaranteed money? They were under contract.
See, but that's the thing, though. I'm glad you asked that question. I think that's his real issue. I believe that you can do that on a running football team when you're the left tackle. You can do that on a running football team when the head coach has babysat you. But you can't do that on a football team where they run the ball primarily, and you're a receiver. On top of the fact that horse only has one saddle, and it was Deebo Samuel, right? So at the time, I just don't think that he really liked the dynamic of what just was inevitable, right? And now I don't ever see this team being a BA team, ever.
Oh, I don't either. I think that would be tough. BA definitely has an issue with Debo, by the way, too. Like, he doesn't follow him on Instagram anymore. Like, they don't. That was a
We
clear,
saw that
like,
though.
fake
It was
relationship. We knew
so
it.
fake.
Yeah.
Yes. So fake. He would outwork him. He's part of the reason why he felt like I think that Debo is part of the reason why BA feels like he has to carry this type of energy with the team because of how much Debo got away with not being necessarily a good pro, not being in shape, not being a good leader, not really playing out the offense as hard as he could when he didn't have the ball. I mean, that much I'm 100% now. This has been kind of like a bash BA session on my side. But if there's ever like a caveat, it is his work ethic, especially while he was a teammate, while Debo Samuel was his teammate. And I got to be honest with you, like, what's really crazy is that it's hard to be a teammate. It's hard to like your teammate when you know you work harder than him, but he's making more money than you. It's hard. It's not. It's a human thing. So I get it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Soki Smooth says BA wants to be a highlight wide receiver, no blocking. No blocking.
Nah, you tripping.
You can't. Don't say that. Don't say that.
I literally just talked about his work ethic. Yeah, you tripping.
Anyways, wants a gunslinger at quarterback. Brock can't give him that. I think Brock at heart thinks he's a gunslinger. Wants the paparazzi. Screw that. Get scary, Terry. Well, I mean, I think all that sounds great, but again, Washington has to be willing to deal.
I don't think they want to do it.
Be willing to come here. I don't think they would either.
Yeah.
I don't think they would either. It's definitely a hypothetical, but yeah, I mean, to your point, based off our hypothetical, you're saying go get Terry. That's fair. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's worse than what it is. BA is a very willing and good blocker. Like, let's not do that at the very least.
Yeah. Just think about this. This is why this would never happen. Can you imagine the Commanders going to another NFC Championship game and losing with our receiving core, with BA and Debo starting for them, and then we have Scary Terry? And can you imagine the backlash that we would give Commanders fans if they failed with our receiving core? Like, we could have told you both of them dudes wasn't going to get you there. Like, I wouldn't do that. They're not going to take on both of our best two receivers to give up a guy like. It just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. All right. Next topic. John Lynch. It came out, NBC Sports. They ranked the top GMs in football. They have John Lynch at number 7. Here are the names they had ahead of him: Howie Roseman from the Eagles, Brett Veach from the Chiefs, Les Snead from the Rams, Eric DaCosta from the Ravens, Brian Gutekunst from the Packers, and Brad Holmes from the Lions. Fair or foul? You think he's just right? You think they should move him up? Or do you think he should be lower? What are your thoughts on John Lynch at number 7?
2 Super Bowl appearances, 5 NFC Championship appearances.
4 NFC
Four NFC Championship appearances. If you want to go by the success, it depends on your perspective. 7 could be like welcomed humbly, like, yeah, man, top 10, that's awesome. And then 7 could also be looked at as like a smack in the face juxtaposed to the guys that are ahead of him. For me, I look at the success of the roster. And I do believe that with John, I'd say that probably Gutekunst over the Packers, Holmes over the Lions, Holmes with the Lions. I think that maybe those 2 guys really haven't done enough. They don't have a John Lynch resume. But outside of that, I'm okay with Rams, Chiefs, and Eagles. One thing that you got to look at with John is that I will always pin Trey Lance to John's chest. He was the GM. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I'm saying? You went with that. We've also had some other guys that just didn't work out for us that John had his hands on. You know, Quan Alexander never worked out for us. Who's the edge? D Ford never worked out for us. Chase Young, even though he was a cup of coffee, he never worked out for us. One of the biggest blunders of his regime as a GM, Javon Hargrave, that was a horrible pickup. That didn't work out for us. For me, I just think that, you know, the respect that he has as a player and what he's done with the roster thus far is awesome. And I think he deserves to be there because not a lot of GMs have a chance to have a good roster, see it reach its peak, then come down and build it all over again. So that's how I feel. You know, you're not, it's almost like you're saying it's like, is Kyle a bad coach? On one hand, you could look at his resume and say, well, he hasn't done that much. So, yeah, he's a bad coach. He hasn't won in the biggest moments where he needed to win. But the fact that he's still a head coach going into year 9, that success plays too. So, you know, you got to play it both ways.
Yeah, I actually, I agree. I think Eagles, Chiefs, Rams, Ravens, those are your top 4. I think Gutekunst is good. I think Holmes is good, but neither have been. Gutekunst has been there, I think, around the same time, maybe a year after John Lynch. They've had more sustained success as far as making it to the playoffs consistently, moving off of Aaron Rodgers, which was tough to do, but they haven't reached the peaks. Brad Holmes, he's done a phenomenal job. I'm absolutely not going to argue what he's done with a team like Detroit that was an absolute dumpster fire to turn it into a perennial contender and do it mainly through the draft. I mean, he's phenomenal job. He came over from the Rams as well, so he certainly knows what he's doing. But I do think it would be fair to put John Lynch ahead of both of them based off of either longevity or just reaching the peak. But I think there's 2 other guys that should be in the argument as well. Jason Legg with the Bucks. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has a Super Bowl victory, moved off of Tom Brady about as graciously as he could,
right?
Bringing in and taking a chance on Baker Mayfield, which has worked out fantastically. Now they've got him for a steal, basically. And then Brandon Beane with the Bills. I mean, they haven't reached the Super Bowl, but take Josh Allen, that turns out to be about as good as it can be. And they run into the Chiefs before the Super Bowl. Otherwise, they probably would have been there themselves at some point as well. So I think that anywhere from 5 to 7 is fair. I just don't know that the names, if you're going to have them at 7, if it should be Gutekunst and Holmes rather than Light and Bean, if you're going to move or keep John Lynch at 7, in my opinion.
Well, I think that Gutekunst always gets the bump just for consistency. They're always consistently competitive.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, the same way DaCosta gets the bump, consistently competitive. But they're not, they're like consistently competitive at a high level, which is hard to do. Right? You know, just think about the times when you played sports. There's always that nagging team where it's like, they may not be competing for a championship. They may not be going to the playoffs all the time, but you do not want to play them. Like, this is a team where they're going to stick to you. You're not getting out of there without an injury. You're not getting out of there without playing hard. And if you have an injury, you're definitely going to be in an uphill battle. That's what you think about all of these teams. They're really good constructed teams, especially what Holmes has done with the Lions. I'm impressed. I would like to see a little bit more consistency from the Lions. And again, one thing that I love about us, we took a good game with, was John Lynch ranked 7th? But this is one thing that I want to say about my team, about us. Nobody really has the turnover like we do in our building. We get relentlessly poached. That hurts a building. The fact that we have basically for 5 to 6 years have bled out best coaches that turn into head coaches, coordinators, receivers coaches, tight ends coaches, bringing in other guys, losing. We lost Martin Mayhew. Then we lost, what's the other guy outside? Rand Carthon. Then we lost Adam Peters. Then we lost part of our coaching, our scouting department. You know, all of that stuff comes from somewhere. And the fact that we've been able to build over time and still be consistent, and basically every year we get told to, practically do it again at a high level. I think that the regime, as well as John, they deserve their flowers. It's very hard.
Yeah, it is hard to do. And the only other team that does it at a higher level, probably, or arguably, is the Rams, because they get poached like crazy too.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody under McVay is like the hot new whatever, and they just keep it pushing. So, but that's one of the few GMs that we agree that we would actually have for sure ahead of Lynch. I think there's arguments for a few guys, but yeah, I think that that's probably pretty fair. All right, Coach, last topic here. What are some of the biggest questions heading into this season? I've got 7 of them.
Damn.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
got a lot of questions. So let's go back and forth until one of us runs out, and then the other one can kind of give their final few or whatever. I'll go first because it sounds like I've got more than you. Number 1 for me would be, can CMC, Trent, and Aiyuk look like their 2023 self? Or are all 3 of them going to continue to not play a full season due to injury? Or if they do play a full season, are they more like they were last year? Or can they recapture that 2023 season? What do you think?
No.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
gonna be tough.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. For me, I don't see it. BA's not even gonna start the season. We got to see how what kind of camp Trent is gonna have. If Trent has a full camp, I'll be encouraged. I don't think that he's at the age. I don't think that Trent is at the age right now where he can keep his regular workflow, which is miss most of camp, be good enough to use the first like quarter of the season to get in shape. I don't think you can do that as you get older. As you get older and you play longer, you kind of have to almost work out more than the average player because of the fact that you don't have a lot of recovery because you're older. Your muscles and everything, they don't tear as much as they need to because you're older. And what you need to do is you almost have to kind of find a sweet spot versus you showing up to play at your most highest level and then recovering. So for Trent, he's going to have to ramp himself up and then use that to coast out for the rest of the season. I don't think that he can use the season to get in shape. He's going to get hurt on the way to getting in shape during the season. We talked about that last year, and that's exactly what happened. When you're 300 pounds plus and you're older in age, it's something's gonna give on the way to try to get in shape. So that's with Trent. CMC, the same thing with him is that it's not so necessarily with CMC to see what he can make it through camp. Is my thing with CMC is that can we get him to the season? If we get CMC to the season, I think that he's okay knowing how to keep himself healthy in between the lines. He's a veteran. I'm okay with that, especially with as many touches that he's had. This kid knows how to get on the ground. He knows how to save himself. So I'm not worried about that. My biggest question coming into the season is, are they going to intelligently use CMC? Right? Are they going to use him intelligently? Is there a real plan for him? Because let's be honest, the way he was used in 2022, there was no plan for him. Okay? They simply turned around and gave him the ball, and they had plays for him. But worrying about Christian's health, worrying about Christian's attrition, worrying about if we could keep him later in the season, none of that was a worry. And that's kind of like I know that coaches like to do it in the NFL. They try to treat it like it's the pro game. Like, oh, well, the player's health has nothing to do with me. Like, I'm literally a robot. If he can play, he can play. If he can't, he can't. Right? Like, I understand that coaches like to do that. But I think that would be really disingenuous to a guy who you say is your leader. Like, to a guy who you say is supposed to be carrying your team. If Kyle kind of is obtuse and acts like he doesn't see the real acute issue with, hey, you can't just give Christian the ball like he's 25 years old. I think that that's showing a little bit of willful ignorance where he'll act like, oh, he's hurt. Well, Christian's always going to play the hardest he could play. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's why you're supposed to like use him in a certain way. So that is my biggest question. I think I kind of worked myself into my next question is Christian McCaffrey going to be intelligently used or is he going to get ran into the ground?
I hear what you're saying.
Say it. You already know the answer.
But if he doesn't take himself off the field, he's going to get ran into the ground.
Yep. Yeah, they will. And I think that and this is what's sad about this. All right. This is what's sad about it. And this is a little bit of the league. It's a little barbaric, but it's the truth. I don't even disagree with that. But you know why? Because you're the one who held out last season and asked for more guaranteed money. So you got to go out on your sword. This is the road you chose, brother. Okay? If Christian was still getting paid on his original deal, where the backside of his deal kicked in the friendly team money, I would be saying, hey, man, why would we get him to this point of the deal where we're finally getting all of the fiscal advantages from it? Why would we get him hurt? Use him intelligently. It's almost like paying off a car. Why would you total your car the day you pay it off? We paid it off. Now we get to use it without a note. He's the one that refied and said, fuck that. I want guaranteed money. You want to play the young man's game going into the twilight of your career. So for me, there's two sides of it, because in order to win, you have to give him a package. You can't give him 20 plus carries a game. You can't. But by what he did, he deserves to get ran into the ground because the price tag justifies it.
I think the age justifies it, and this being the final year of his guaranteed money justifies it as well. I actually agree with all of that. 2 years ago, it didn't justify it. We were talking about it all season. And I would say, when we say ran into the ground, it's more they've still got to find a way to keep him healthy and at his best for the playoffs. But once the playoffs are here, my man, if you touch the ball 60 times a game, I don't care.
I do not care.
I don't care.
We got to ride him out. I hate to put it like this, but we got to get our money's worth. He's the one that forced this. So I don't care about Christian McCaffrey being like, if we get, like you said, if we get to the playoffs where it's like, we got to like William Wallace freedom it, you're damn right. It's going down. Freedom! You're going out on your shield, William. It's over.
Yeah, man. It's I agree. Because the way I look at it is, this is CMC's last year in a 49er uniform, most likely. So that means you play him like crazy, and that means you play him like crazy. All right. I got another question for this team.
Yeah.
And we talked about this player earlier indirectly when we were talking about who to bring onto this team. But can Demo truly be a number one corner? I think statistically, he has proven that he can be. At times, he has been tasked with that and done very well. But this is the first time from beginning of season to end of season that he will be asked to be that dude. So can he be that all season long? Now, my money is he can and will be, but it's still a question. We don't know for sure that he can be that guy. So to me, that's a question that's going to have to be answered this season.
Yeah. I like Demo. I love his confidence too. I love his confidence. I love the way, like, his approach to the game, his tenacity. I like the way he plays, man. He's got an old school feel to him, you know, where like you could tell he plays like, I wish I was 250, 6'2". You know what I'm saying? I love his game. He's just doing a little too much talking for me. And I want him to be protected, but I don't know, man. He may be one of those guys who has to get talked into his game. I understand that too, but you got to play with it. I mean, you got to play with your jargon, with how you talk. Outside of that, this is one thing that I will say about Demo. He's gotten better every year I've seen him. Every year. And I'm not about to bet against him. He's done it every year. And the last thing that would kill me to find out that he was just a professional athlete and not a football player is if he let this money get to his head. So there's certain guys, they wear their money well. They get paid and you're like, yeah, man, this elevates you. This kind of puts a polish on who you were before you got paid. Sometimes the money just exposes dudes where it's like, oh, so you really are lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, now when you don't have to play for it. I don't think Demo's one of those guys. I'm really pulling for him, and that's one of the reasons why I pushed against the Jaire Alexander conversation is because I'm like Demo in a sense of I'm a child of sacrifice, man. I'm trial by fire. I gotta go through it. I'm the guy where you can tell me all day that the fire is hot. Don't touch it. Coach, not touch the fire. I'm like, but dude, I mean, does it burn all the time? I mean, is it hot all the time? Like, I'm gonna do it, bro. I just think that Demo is one of those guys where I don't want him to get bailed out. I think he's what's great about players like him is that the more pressure you put on them, the more they perform. And I think Demo is one of those guys where put the pressure on him, he'll perform.
Absolutely. What other questions you got for this team?
Who is the next young leader to step up on the defense? It's time. It's time for a new batch. Fred, we got the usual suspects in Fred and Nick Bosa, and Diamador Lenore is somebody who's kind of like making himself a regular name. But who's going to be the next trench guy? Who is going to be the next? One thing I love about our team is that when we're clicking on all cylinders, we make light work out of understanding who are like the unsung heroes. Who's the next guy? I got a guy who's next that I believe is really going to shock people. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a Brock Purdy thing. And what I mean by that is that one thing about Brock when he came on is that he was so freaking pure, right? Like, it's like, dude, I'm just being who I am. And it almost kind of made everybody else kind of at least follow his lead or at the very least fake it because he was just that damn competitive and that into football. I believe that there's a guy who is that obsessed with the game on defense that people who kind of are nonchalant about what they can do are going to be forced to step their game up. I'm not going to give my guy first because I know I took the top of the topic. Go ahead and answer because you might have the same guy as me.
You're talking about a young guy that's going to be a leader on this defense. Well, I mean, it's got to be Demo the way he's talking, right? He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the next leader.
But he already got his money, so that don't count.
I don't know. You tell me. Who's it going to be?
Mikael Williams. I'm telling you.
Pick.
I think that this kid is obsessed with the game. I think that there are a lot of things on defense where he's going to be relied on, especially in the run game. And I think that it is going to be infectious where that swarm mentality that we had on defense, that, bringing guys up, like we finally got guys that look good coming off the bus. I know that does not mean much. I know that doesn't mean much when you talk about guys that look like Tarzan and play like Jane. But for some reason, all the teams that win tend to look good coming off the bus. Look at the Ravens. Look at the Eagles. Look at the way they look coming off the bus. Look at the way they compete. Right?
Look at the 49ers in 2019.
Yes. I'm telling you, one thing that I like about Mikael Williams is that I've listened to him speak, and he has a lot of personality. I think that he has an intelligent plan about how he wants to be a pro. It's more than just coming in and getting paid with this kid. It's more than I got a skill set, I'm good enough to do this, and it just so happens that I make a lot of money off getting paid for what I do. No, I think that he understands that he's got the path to be great. And I think that in his pursuit of greatness, this young, there are going to be a lot of people that follow behind him, like your Alfred Collins, like your CJ West, right? Another guy that I got coming on as another young leader that I think is going to be just the same way. These guys are going to start, I don't want to say embarrassing guys because they're all teammates, so they can't be embarrassed by each other. But I just think that they're going to bring their modus operandi, how they go about the game, is going to make other people either rise to their level or get the fuck off the field. Nick Martin. I think he's going to be another guy where He's going to be so locked in with doing what he needs to do on that field that you are going to not be able to be on the field. That's what I love that's what I see when I see the Ravens play or when I see the Eagles play on defense. They play like they're a gang. Like it's not 11 of them. Like it's just them against where they play like if you can't draw blood, then you can't be on the field. That's what I feel about the Ravens when I see them play. And we lost that bite on our defense. I think those guys are going to be awesome when they play for us.
And obviously when you say leader, you mean eventually, right? You're not saying as rookies. Like they can lead by example as a rookie, but they're not going to be leaders right out the gate. You got to show something before then. But you think eventually,
you know, one thing that you still
that's the new regime.
Nah. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying leaders.
Okay.
I'm saying there is a void. There's not enough spots anymore for veteran guys to step up and say, just because I'm old enough, I'm a leader on this team. No, that's not how leaders are built. Leaders is a meritocracy. The tribe speaks. The team speaks. Like, yo, that's the dog, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that through practice, through camp, through interleague scrimmages, through preseason, that kid gonna whoop so much ass that he may not get captain. All right, he's a rookie, but I think that it's a whole different ballgame when you know that this kid coming in right now is a grown ass man. And I don't think one thing that I like about him, he's not immature. He doesn't seem like a goofy kid. He really seems like he's coming in here. He understands the plan. And when you come from a school like Georgia, you can't expect anything less. So I don't think that a guy like him who's played at Georgia, that's played in front of guys like Nolan Smith and all of these great guys in front of him, I don't think he's starstruck. That's one of the biggest things that would kind of blow me about rookies that got here is that they were a little starstruck. Like happy to be here. You know, like I get to play with the Niners? Like, nah, bruh. The Niners get to play with you. That's the attitude that we need. I get that from Mikael Williams.
Okay, I like it. I think it's a lot to ask for a rookie to be a leader. I mean, the kid can't even drink legally, so I don't know. But I hear you. I do think that he can eventually be that. I don't know about year one, but we'll see. I mean,
there's nobody in his way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, Fred Warner is the obvious leader. You got Deommodore Lenoir. You've got Bosa. Mm-hmm. Trying to think who else. I mean, those are probably your three on defense that I would look at.
I just think that, you know, I'm telling you, watch. When you start hearing shit in camp about Mikael Williams going against Trent Williams, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to be like, I told you. Watch. I'm telling you. Because we got enough. Yeah, we got enough here to see what he's worth, what he's got. I want to see Mikael Williams bust Trent Williams' ass in one-on-ones.
That I do want to see.
I want to see that.
Chris says Williams is average at best. I don't know
you just
about
trolling.
All that. We're about to find out.
Bro, you trolling, Chris.
About to find out. Okay. Another question that I have. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give all seven, actually. I'm gonna save this one, but let's see. You know what? Actually, I'll go with this one.
Okay.
Can the kicker position not be a liability? They've got three guys in there to compete now. Can it just not be a liability anymore? Please. Can we get some stability at kicker? You got a veteran, you got a rookie, you got Moody in there. I don't care who it is out of those three, but just for the love of God.
I don't know,
rely
man.
on a kicker, man?
First, I don't know. Like, look. This is the thing that sucks about kickers. It's like going to go get like a gold-plated, it's like getting a gold-plated lighter. You know, you treat it with way more care than it deserves to be treated in the first place. It's a lighter. They sell them at gas stations. Anybody can get one and it'll work just fine. You had to go get a 3rd-round kicker. Now you got a special kicker, and you can't just throw him to the side or lose him in the crack of your car seat just like you do any other lighter because you went and bought a gold-plated lighter. That's what happens when you spend a 3rd-round pick on a kicker. So that's the problem. The biggest issue is that we can't just treat this like, hey, man, just play the best guy because we actually put all of this worth into a kicker. So sometimes you got to understand I'm an idiot for spending $1,000 on this 18-karat lighter. Who the fuck do I think I am? Minnesota Fats? Like, come on. Who am I, pimping Ken? Pawn the lighter, get your money back, and go get a Bic like everybody else. So I just, look, we can't be like everybody else. Sometimes you're going to find a guy that sticks. I get it. But let's just find a guy who wins the competition. And if it's Jake Moody who loses, then we just look like idiots for a couple of seasons for spending a 3rd-round pick on a kicker who we eventually had to let go. But I, for one thing, don't want to make a bad situation a colossal one by holding on to Jake Moody just because we spent the 3rd-round pick on him. He's got to go. Right. You can use matches instead of a light.
That's a great
Come
comment.
on, bro.
It's a great comment. It really is. Any more questions that you have for this team going into this season?
When is it going to get weird between Coach Saleh and Coach Shanahan? You know we're all waiting for it. When is it going to get weird? When is it? Come on. Am I the only one? Am I the drama? Am I the only one who low-key wants a Mean Girls fight between Kyle and Robert Saleh because we know that we're just confused at how they get along as professionals. And we understand that if that defense, this is a better question. How long is it going to take the fans before they start asking for Robert Saleh to take Kyle Shanahan's job?
I mean, if
it's
this
there.
team isn't winning, then it's definitely there. It's it is interesting. I will say it is interesting because as much as people love Kyle Shanahan, if this team isn't winning and that defense is performing, Robert Saleh in conjunction with Brock Purdy being the quarterback who they love also, those two allow you to move on from Kyle Shanahan for the first time and do it gracefully without a big chunk of this fan base getting super pissed off.
Yo, put Julie's comment up.
Who?
Julie B. Put up Julie's comment. I want to see a fight between Kyle and Saleh so bad. Me too. Can you imagine Coach Saleh making Kyle tap? Shut, come here, you little bitch. Stop, call your mama. Call your mama. Call your mama. Say uncle, you little motherfucker. Say uncle. Wear Yeezys now, bitch. Wear Yeezys now, you little motherfucker. Wear Yeezys now. I would love it. It'd be hilarious.
I don't know that I want to see that. I think it'd be pretty ugly.
I'd love it. I'd love it. Play Kyle Juszczyk again and fucking fullback and see what the fuck I'm going to do to you. Start Kyle Juszczyk again. He would be good. It'd be good.
I love how your mic is Kyle Shanahan, like he's a pencil neck or something.
Yeah, yeah. I want a little pencil neck. Squeeze the life out of your ass.
All right. Any more questions for this team?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Kenny says stop the violence, man. He doesn't. He's not a fan of it.
Come here.
Silky Smooth says, would y'all get Josh Allen after Kyle's contract ends? I would love to have Josh. That's never going to happen. Josh Allen's never leaving Buffalo.
Hell
unless he requests to leave. I would love it, but it's just not going to happen.
Hell no.
I don't need Kyle to leave to get Josh Allen here either. Like that is not a prerequisite.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Josh
Would you
Allen
trust Kyle with Josh?
Oh, at this point now that Allen's established, yeah, not with like
really?
the development of Josh. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You think that Kyle Shanahan could win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen?
Yeah. Yes.
You think it's just like a foregone conclusion?
I mean, I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion. You're going to have to build this team back up, but yes, Kyle Shanahan is not going to stop this team from winning a Super Bowl. Josh Allen certainly could win a Super Bowl with Kyle Shanahan. Yes.
I don't agree with that. I don't think so. I don't know. Like, can you imagine Josh Allen on designed runs?
Hold on a second.
All of your stars players.
No, not all. Well, most of them. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Most of them I would. Not all of them. I mean, who do you consider a star? But, okay, hold on a second then. So based off of what you're saying, why even like ever stand up for Kyle Shanahan? Like, I feel like if you're saying that he can't win with the second best quarterback, clear-cut second best quarterback in the NFL, third, I guess at worst, right, then what are we even doing here?
Well, you got to stand next to your convictions. If the man makes it to the Super Bowl multiple times and blows leads, what is Josh Allen going to do to stop that?
Take over games so that you don't. What lead are you giving up? If he was, dude, if he had CMC, prime CMC, and Josh Allen, are you kidding me? Stop, look, man, dude.
I've seen Kyle Shanahan in a lot of can't fuck up scenarios that he found a way to fuck up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like I've been. How many times have you and I been on the phone yelling, "Run the ball"? Like, what is he doing? Like what? Come on, man. I think a lot of the thing that's bad about Kyle is that where he's cursed is that he's had the best. Kyle's not a coach where anybody says, man, once Kyle gets his quarterback, man, it's over. Nah. Kyle's had enough. He's just not humble enough to win in the circumstance. He wants to win his way. What did we talk about that day when we were talking about like needing to win your way? Remember what were we talking about? Like LeBron? It's like that's Kyle. Kyle will see the win, and because if he doesn't feel like he had credit, he will not go that way. That's what lost him the game against the Patriots. It wasn't, they got outsmarted. Kyle was being stubborn. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just all I'm saying is that I've seen him like fuck up unfuck-upable situation. Like, you can't fuck this up, and he's fucked it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Hold on, I'm looking at something real quick. 6.
Okay.
7.
I'm gonna choke out fake Kyle while you wait.
7.
So 8, Kyle, 9. Get your little pictures.
Hey, stop cussing! Stop cussing!
Sorry. I'm sorry.
To it. 9.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
9, got a little carried
10,
away.
11. Hold on a second. I'm almost done here. I'm about to prove a point. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna bring up this comment. That's cute and all, but Josh Allen in the playoffs has 11 touchdowns to 1 turnover against the Spags coach team. So they ain't holding Josh Allen. Like, the reason that they're losing those games is because that defense has been so trash and so depleted by the time they make the playoffs through injury. They just can't hold the Chiefs. I mean, I don't know, man. Josh Allen, I guess.
Well, let me put it like this. And I know you want to put Josh Allen over here and you feel like confident that he would win on a Kyle Shanahan team. Could Kyle Shanahan win a Super Bowl on a Josh Allen led team? Like, could he go over to the Bills and win a Super Bowl with the Bills with what he has on the offense and Josh Allen? Because what you're saying right now is kind of like, in a way, and you didn't do this on purpose, but it's kind of skewed to you because Kyle Shanahan winning with Josh Allen kind of already like says, oh, well, he's over here. He's got Christian McCaffrey, he's got Brandon Aiyuk, he's got George Kittle, and all of that's cute. But if you really want to get to the crux of the debate, could Kyle win in Buffalo? with Josh Allen in that team?
I guess what I'm saying is if it's Josh Allen and Kyle Shanahan, they would eventually win a Super Bowl together. I don't care. We could put them on the Jets for all I care.
I really don't believe that. Then that's you know what that is. That just shows your belief in Josh Allen. So I won't be offended. This is just your belief in Josh Allen.
But I think Kyle's a top 7 head coach though too. I mean, for all the things that I don't like about Kyle, like let's not act like he's some scrub either. Like he is a top tier coach in this league. Like he may not be McVay or Reed, but you can make an argument for him after that. Now I would have him near 7, but I mean, at worst, if he's 7 and Josh Allen's the second best quarterback, you've got the number 2 pairing in the NFL right there. So
can you imagine Josh Allen trying to throw to a spot because Kyle Shanahan told him to? Like, you think that Kyle Shanahan would give Josh Allen the offense?
I do. I think he's the okay.
I don't know what coach you've been like. I don't. Go ahead.
A coach that hasn't coached Josh Allen. The reason Trey Lance was here is because of Josh Allen. Like that's exactly what happened. He saw Josh Allen and was like, I want one of those. Give me one of those. And he tried and he failed miserably. But that is the reason that Trey Lance ended up here. None of the other, they wanted Mac Jones. No. He wanted himself a Josh Allen. They played Josh Allen. Jimmy Garoppolo was injured and he sat up there and said, I want somebody who can move like Lamar and be as accurate as Drew Brees. Josh Allen can do everything. So he wants himself a Josh Allen. And then so much so that after the game, he's like, we would have drafted Josh Allen. He just didn't make it to us. He would fawn over Josh Allen. Absolutely. Whatever you need, Josh. I'm just here to support you. I guarantee it. You would see a completely different coach. Completely different coach. As far as reins to his offense, the things he would do with Josh Allen at quarterback, it would be crazy.
So I don't want to cut you off, but Josh Allen doesn't become Josh Allen with Kyle Shanahan. You've even said that.
I agree. I agree with that. Yes.
That's one.
That's why I said Josh Allen now.
2, we saw what Kyle did with a running quarterback, and he got him hurt multiple times. All right. So we don't even know if Josh Allen would have made it past a couple of years if Kyle wouldn't have discarded him like an overpriced toy.
But that's not the argument.
All right. Okay. And 3, a broken clock could be right twice a day. Kyle Shanahan wanting to be up with the Joneses because he's finally seen the fruition of what 3 years of developing Josh Allen looks like doesn't make Kyle all of a sudden this whisper of knowing what a good quarterback looks like. Kyle also likes Lil Wayne and Yeezys too, and both of those are out of style. So, what do you got for me?
I mean, I'm just saying. I feel like
I'm just saying.
I don't disagree that Josh Allen wouldn't be Josh Allen if Kyle Shanahan got a hold of him. But again, that is not the debate. The debate is Josh Allen today comes to the 49ers. Do I think that those two would eventually win a Super Bowl together? Yes, especially in the NFC. What quarterback is getting in his way? He's not in the AFC anymore going against Burrow, Lamar. Like the path to get there has already immediately gotten it way easier. Even if Jaden Daniels becomes a dude, he's not going to be better than Josh Allen. I'm letting you know right now. The upside of Jaden Daniels is not Josh Allen. So even if he can continue to be consistent, he's not Josh. Josh is immediately the best quarterback in the conference, and it's not close. So that's one. And then you've got a top 7 head coach to go along with it. Yeah, they would have figured out a way to win a Super Bowl. I truly believe that. Yes.
Right. Kyle knows exactly what he wants out of Josh Allen, but he wouldn't even scout Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying, make it make sense, man.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but once the quarterback is established and he's legit, like there is no worry. There isn't the worry of, I got to develop him, and there's nothing to develop. Josh is already Josh. He's already developed. So just let him go. Call whatever playbook that he wants to run is available to him. Whatever play he wants. There is no limitations. There is no part of the playbook that he looks at and goes, Purdy can't make those throws. Let me not call those plays. The whole playbook is open to him. There is not a single play that he can design that Josh Allen couldn't execute. Physically, mentally, any of it. So at your wildest desires, Kyle, do whatever you want. It can be done.
So what's Kyle going to do? So Kyle, in your summation, Josh Allen is enough to survive 3 years of development from Kyle. All right. He's good enough. Hold on. Let me finish. He's good. Let me finish. He's good enough to win with Kyle Shanahan, stifling him with running the exact offense he wants him to run at all time. No 2 minute, by the way. No hurry up, by the way. Okay. And on top of all of that, he's going to stay healthy. And he's going to do it behind that patented, awesome Kyle Shanahan offensive line. And we're just going to win. I don't see it.
They would have, first of all, you said 3 years of development. What development does Josh Allen need at this point in his career? Stop with the developing point in his career.
But where does he get finalized Josh?
That's the whole argument. Where have you been in the conversation? The point is if he get Josh Allen today, the Z was like, would you trade everything for Josh Allen? Meaning today, you're getting Josh Allen, not undeveloped Josh Allen who's a rookie.
All right, so let's reframe. You want to trade, because I thought the whole thing was just switching Josh Allen to the Niners. I even brought that up. But what the premise is that you would give up everything for Josh Allen and a Josh Allen and Kyle Shanahan coach team. If that was the trade, you wouldn't mind clearing house. And you think that eventually they would win.
Yes, they would eventually win. And I didn't say I would give up everything. His question was, would you give up every star player on the team? No, I think that's not realistic. I wouldn't do that. But then the argument became between you and I, could Kyle Shanahan win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen? And to that I say, absolutely. If he got his hands on Josh Allen today, over the next 5 years, would he win a Super Bowl? Yes. Yes, he would.
Okay. All right, man. Look, we an hour 28. All right. I'll give it to you.
Rich says, Jesse, Josh Allen can't get past the Chiefs. Guess we have lost Super Bowl twice. But again, Kyle prioritizes his defense. The Bills' defense has been atrocious. Atrocious. They can't stop anything come playoff times. They've had so many injuries, and they don't prioritize the defense at all. Kyle Shanahan prioritizes his defense. So Kyle Shanahan, regardless, has had a pretty good defense outside of last year. That's what he's had. He likes it. He prioritizes the defensive line. So he's going to have the defense that can win if he puts up 28 plus points the way that he does. The difference is his defense with 13 seconds left couldn't stop the Chiefs from scoring. That's crazy. Frisco says, just let him go. Isn't what Kyle does. Running Kyle's play isn't letting Josh go. Kyle will not without clock management. His coach now has terrible clock management too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have some of the same issues, if we're being real. But all right, y'all, listen. Really, really good show, Coach. Appreciate you. Love Monday shows together. We always get off on crazy tangents. But that's what this show's about, man. We come in with a game plan and we end up scrapping it by the end. So
yeah, we did scrap half the show.
Yeah, we did. But everybody in the chat, make sure you go check out Coach's channel tomorrow night. We are over there for the 4-man front. Coach, Ryan, myself, and Grant. That'll be live at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, 4:45 p.m. in the West. Make sure you tap in over there. And until next time, much love. Peace.